All right, so check this out. Do you know what malinting is? If you watch my videos, maybe you do. To malint someone is to attribute a bad intention to them. That's what it comes from. Bad and intention. Bad intention. Malint. Um, and I've been malinted a lot in my life. And so I'm very, very skeptical of that instinct. And I guess I'm lucky either because of my experiences or just because of how my voices are arranged. Malinting isn't something that I catch myself doing. I catch myself making a lot of mistakes. Malinting is not a voice that I often hear. I'm going to give you an example of a malint that I don't actually believe, but that came to me. And I'm hoping that this malint will be such a coherent story, this accusation. And it'll make perfect sense, and hopefully you'll realize that, oh shit, if your brain told you this story, would you be able to reject it or would you take it as true? All right. The origin of the malint voice, it's very simple. If you are hurt in any way, if any damage is done to you on any level, you need that it's advantageous survivally to find the source, and to say that source intended to do that, and so in order to achieve this bad objective, and so it just makes it really easy to make that source of your pain the enemy. You have a whole coherent story. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was, they are bad. And then you stay away from that source of pain. Okay? The survival advantage is obvious. The social advantage, well, it's socially disadvantageous to always be assuming that every time you feel bad, it's because someone had some ignoble goal either to make you feel bad or your feeling bad was a known consequence of their ignoble goal, and they did it anyway. All right, so ready? So here's the example. So after my last girlfriend in 2021, I started seeing someone, and we didn't have much of a connection, it turned out, but we sort of believed in like the potential of this connection or something. Anyway, and then it was a pretty solid interaction that we had, and so over the course of a year we hung out a few times, we traveled a little bit and stuff like that, and it was long distance for a period where we would just be talking on the phone every once in a while. And then we had a difficult period. Anyway, so we were supposed to meet, regardless, before we even had this difficult period. Once the person returned from the distance, we were supposed to, once they returned to the country, we were supposed to get together. And we were supposed to get together, and then once we started having trouble in whatever you'd call what we were doing, we still had promised to see each other and so we could talk about it. Neil, come inside. So what ended up happening was a few days, about a week before we were supposed to get together and see each other for the first time in a few months and figure out stuff, she sent a message saying, oh no, never mind. Okay. Not a big deal because it wasn't, well, it wasn't anything, but here's the malint that I came up with today as I had my last few thoughts about that person. she knew that I had obsessive compulsive disorder. She knew that whether it's intellectually, emotionally, romantically, whatever, she knew that my brain's like Velcro and things get stuck on it. And I need to, when I have questions, I need to ask them. I need to be able to get to the sort of the bottom of things. Otherwise, my brain can't do anything else. And so in her final message, she said, I don't feel like continuing. There was no other explanation. There was no closure, and there was also no, it was just a text message. It wasn't even a phone call. There's no sort of conversation invited. It was, I don't want to continue. I wish you the best. You're amazing. And so, of course, for me, for the month leading up to this message, as we had gone through this difficult period, I had been doing a lot of thinking, had a lot of preparation for when we see each other, the things that we would talk about, the things that we would try to figure out, the things that we would need to know, can we make this work, and so on. So I was really counting on that communication and that opportunity. And so we weren't really talking much in the weeks leading up to it. I think because, we didn't want to make anything worse and so on. And we just wanted to wait until we could see each other. And then, but in that final message, she said, hey, we haven't even been talking recently. So, it's over. And so she knew that would, I think she felt like maybe I never really had the feelings for her that she wanted me to have. And so she wanted, this was sort of her last opportunity, take advantage of the fact that I need closure and to make sure not to give it to me, to say it's over without a reason, to do it by message. And forcing me to decide, am I going to be the annoying obsessed ex who's like, what's going on? Hey, wait, hello? Like, call me. What are you talking about? In which case she can be the high status person that goes, please accept that it's over, which would be a real reversal of roles, because for most of that year that we knew each other, she felt like I was the higher status, that I was the one who wasn't as into her as she was into me. So my option one is to sort of chase after, try to get my closure by contacting her and so on. And then my option two is to just sort of suffer alone and just not have any of that understanding, any of the things that I want to say, no opportunity to say it, which would mean that I would also need something from her. So anyway, simply put, she knew I had obsessive compulsive disorder, knew how my brain gets stuck on things, and knew what open or loose ends sort of does to me. We've had a lot of conversations about it. And since she had never gotten that obsessive reaction out of me during that year, this is her last chance to get some or to get me to chase after her or something. They say, no, please, blah, blah, blah. I don't believe any of that. Just to explain so that you can see, you can compare that explanation to the truth, I think it's probably just that she was scared of some things. I think she had lost a little bit of interest because of the distance. And she didn't know how to communicate with me because we never really had like a real sort of connection or anything. And so she didn't know how to, so what are you going to do? So she was like, okay, I'm just going to let him know I'm not going to come, and, and that I really appreciate him and that he's awesome. And she maybe even thought she was doing me like a favor, I'm going to free him because, he doesn't really want to be with me anyway. So there you go. That's, but wouldn't it be so easy to believe that first explanation? It's like, oh, what a horrible person. how pathetic, blah, blah. So hopefully when you come up with a really coherent accusation of someone and attribution of bad intentions and this knowledge, remind yourself of two things. One, we are not integrated. So the fact that she knew that I had OCD did not factor at all into her message. That voice just did not speak with the other voices who sent the message. And there was also not a voice going, oh, here's our master plan for how to keep him interested. Now, was there a little voice that could have voted for that message plan because that makes that brain the rejector rather than the rejectee? Yes, but it didn't come from that voice. That voice was just like, oh yeah, you guys have a good idea. Go ahead and just send a message. Does that make sense? Maybe that last bit doesn't make sense. The difference between a voice writing a bill and a voice just voting for it. So the bill might not be so the action, right, the behavior might not originate in this nefarious intention or need. But, okay, maybe the nefarious intention or need did add one vote to the insecure voices or the inability to communicate or the not attracted to anymore voices that actually wrote the original behavior. Okay, cool. So that's so you know what I would love? In the comments, talk about something that someone did to you and you immediately had this malint. You're like, oh, they wanted to do this, blah, blah, blah. Really? Oh, man, impress me, please. Show me. Oh, yeah, and then I was certain that they did this for this reason because they knew this and they wanted this and they just wanted to feel better about themselves, blah, 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 blah. And say, hey, but actually, maybe that hadn't been part of the equation, or it certainly wasn't the origin of that behavior. Here are some alternatives. Oh, I got to make a video right now about regenerating a response. Let's do that.